All right, on to 53. So it says, simplify each expression below as much as possible. Record your work in the same way you did in problem 51. And so the idea here is to think about the legal moves that we've been practicing, right? So we've been practicing combining like terms and looking for zero pairs. If we're talking about the other legal moves that we had, so removing the same amount from both sides, or maybe adding the same amount to both sides if necessary, obviously wouldn't apply here because we don't have those two different sides. So the first thing that we want to do is just identify our like terms. And so if we look at this, right, we've got a y and a negative y here. Those are like terms. We also have an x and an x. Those are going to be like terms for us as well. And if we go ahead and combine those, when you think of this as 3 positive y tiles minus a negative y tile, so that's going to leave us with 2y. And then here we've got 5 positive x's and 7 negative 7 x's. So if we were to combine those, we would be left with negative 2x. And then we'll go ahead and add this 3 on. And that's it. There's no other simplifying that we can do here. All right, moving on to B. So if we look at B, we've got some parentheses here. And this is kind of like the idea of if you cross the line, you got to flip the sign. So imagine in order for us to get rid of these parentheses, we're going to take this negative 5x and we're going to cross that line. So if I cross that line, this negative 5x is going to become a positive 5x. So let's go ahead and rewrite that before we change anything else. So that will leave us with negative 1 plus 5x minus 2x plus 2x squared plus 7. All right, let's go ahead now and identify our like terms. So I see an x here, I see an x here. I also see that this is an x, however, this has an exponent of 2. So we cannot combine this with this one because they are not considered like terms. There's nothing else that has this x squared, so I'm just going to leave it alone. We also do have just a regular number and a regular number. Those are called constants, and those are also like terms. So if we go ahead and start doing some combining, I've got 5 positive x's, and if I take out 2 of those x's, right, because this is negative, or if I make some zero pairs, then we're going to end up with a 3x. This negative 2x, or I'm sorry, this positive 2x, we couldn't change it, right, because there is nothing to combine with it. So I'm just going to rewrite it as is. So plus 2x squared. And then here, think of this as 1 negative unit tile and 7 positive unit tiles, right? So there's going to be a zero pair that we can make. So 7 minus 1 plus 6. And now we are done with that one. All right, moving on to C. So again, identify those like terms. We don't have any parentheses that we have to deal with here. So I see an x, I see a negative 4x, and I see a negative 2x. I also see regular numbers. Remember, we're going to call those constants. So I've got plus 2, negative 1, negative 3, and plus 2. Let's go ahead and combine those. So I've got 6 positive tiles minus 4x, that would give us 2x, minus another 2x, that's going to give us 0. I'm just going to write it together so you guys can see this. So 6x minus 4x minus 2x, right? If you look at negative 4 and negative 2, that would be a negative 6. So positive 6 and negative 6, right? That's going to zero out right there. Here, I've got plus 2 and minus 1. So 2 minus 1 plus 1. And then I've got a negative 3 and a positive 2. So that would give us a negative 1. So now if we go back, remember we said this zeroed out. So 0 plus 1 minus 1, that's also 0. So our final answer here is 0. And that's okay. Doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. It just means everything eliminated each other. All right, so moving on to this guy. I know you guys probably instantly see fractions and you're like, oh no, I really don't want to deal with this. But This one's not that bad, you guys. So I've got a negative 3y and a positive 2y. Obviously, those are going to be some like terms for us. And I've got 2/3 x plus 1/3 x. So think about it like this, you guys. Ignoring the fact that like it's an equation, just think about what you know about fractions. If I have 2/3 and I add another third, I now have 3/3. Well, 3/3 is 1. You could even draw a little picture if you wanted. Right, so if I have 1, 2, right, if I break that up into thirds, if I have 2/3, right, that would be this guy right there. I'm sorry, I'll move that over. This right here would be this one, and I add 1/3 to that. Boom, now we've got a whole. So 2/3 x plus 1/3 x is just a whole. That's just 1x. If you want to put a 1 there to make yourself feel better, you can do that. So 1x. Here I've got negative 3y plus 2y. Well, if you wanted to imagine it as 0 pairs, right, here's a positive y, here's one of the negative y's. Here's my other positive y right here, and here's a negative y. We've got 3 negatives, so I'm going to add one more, right? 0 pair, 0 pair. That means we're left with 1 negative y. So minus 1y. And remember, you don't have to put these ones in front. So you could just say x minus y. And we're done. That's as simplified as it would get.